Hello, everyone. So, there's a new documentary coming out about Heath Ledger. I remember Heath Ledger. I remember he died of prescription drug overdose. And it was very tragic. I remember that time in my life. A few of my favorite celebrities have actually died this way. It's called combined drug intoxication. Another one of there's a whole list of celebrities right here that died due to this drug intoxication. Brittany Murphy was another one. Anyways, I just wanted to I was a huge fan of Brittany Murphy. Big fan. I wanted to just kind of bring awareness to this issue of the dangers of these. A lot of people are just underestimating the dangers of these prescription drugs, especially when you combine them all. So you can see it's just killed, and these are just the celebrities that have died with these drugs. I mean, think about all the normal people. I mean, this is a huge danger that we face. Of course, you don't face the danger if you just avoid these drugs altogether, which is what I recommend. And I'm going to, if you're depressed, if you're wanting to take antipsychotic drugs or antidepressants or sleep pills or any of this sort of thing, I recommend going for an alternative, a natural remedy. Here's just an article that I found. I think this is probably one of the best articles on this subject. They have 10 different antidepressants that they're recommending, 10 different strategies here. So what particularly stood out to me on this list is the B vitamins. I think that's a huge thing right there. B12, and they're recommending B6 and a few others. But also the light therapy. I know a lot of people up in the northern hemisphere can get depressed in the winter months because they're not getting enough light into their eyes. So that's a very powerful one. And but there's also a lot of people I think are depressed because they hate themselves. I know that's very oversimplistic, but I do think that's true, that there's just people that they don't feel like they're living up to their true potential, or they feel guilty about something, or they just feel like they suck as people, and you're going to have a hard time loving yourself if you feel like a sucky person. So one strategy to overcome depression is just general self-improvement. And, if you're working to be the perfect person, and if you've overcome most of your flaws and you're trying to be the best person possible, you're less likely to be depressed. If you have a real good self-esteem and self-respect, I think that's a huge one. So just know that these prescription drugs are not to be taken lightly. They're very dangerous. And here's just a little clip I want to show you of what Devin Tracy said about depression. He suffered from depression in his life, and this could be inspirational to you. Check this out.
He came to me and he's been having a rough time, and I sort of tried to help him. The thing about depression is everybody has been depressed. If you haven't been depressed, you will be depressed. I think there's actually a correlation between intelligence and depression. I think the smarter you are, the more you think about things, the more you're sort of in tune with some of the grander, dilemmas that life has to offer, the more likely you will be to suffer a period of depression in your life. If you're like a clueless sort of bubbling, blonde sorority girl, and you're just easily distracted and you don't really care or think about things, then you might skirt through it. You might just make it.
So I really vibe with what he's saying there. I found that what caused my depression was atheism. When I became an atheist, when I first became an atheist, it was so depressing losing the idea of God, and which was such a comfort to me growing up, and this idea of the afterlife and heaven, that was such a comfort. And so it's just like what he's saying, when you start thinking about when you start thinking deeply about life and the problems and death and aging, it's easy to become depressed. So I've had to overcome my depression, and like Devin says here, you should be depressed. Depression is a sign that you're really thinking deeply about the nightmare of life. Life is a nightmare in many ways. It's depressing. Let's face it. The world is awful in so many ways, but it's so wonderful at the same time, and that's why we want to live forever. We want to live forever despite the suffering and despite the bad things in life, just because the good things in life are so awesome that it's worth suffering for. It's worth fighting for eternal life. Anyways, that's really all I wanted to say. Just be careful if you're I would just not get on these psychotic drugs, these antidepressant drugs. They have severe side effects. They can be very addicting. Okay, and some of these sleep pills are dangerous as well. Okay, Heath Ledger, he was on a combination of a few different sleeping pills and antidepressants and all this sort of thing. It's very dangerous, so be careful. And that's about it. Thank you. This has just been a kind of little PSA video. I wanted to, maybe people are thinking more about Heath Ledger. So I'll leave the link for this documentary trailer in the description as well. You can check that out. But may you live forever, and may you fight for your eternal life and your happiness, and may you get depressed, but also then overcome it. Thank you.